sound? Is there any sound? Can you hear me? All right. Hey, everybody. This is Hope from the Rhinestone World. We're going to go ahead and get started. First, I just want to make sure everybody can see and hear me. Well, not me. Can you see my screen? So I just want everybody to know who's in here that we do have a little question dashboard, so you guys can go ahead and type questions to me if you have any throughout this webinar. So just to get going, just so I can make sure everyone can hear me, can I have somebody let me know? All right, we have an answer. Kathleen can hear me. So did everybody get their step-by-step guides? Obviously, you've gotten into the webinar. You found the registration link. We should have some guides and some designs in there for you as well. So you'll learn how to make the designs, but then you'll also be able to make them on your own with the guide, and you'll have the designs already done. So either way, we should all win. Perfect. Everybody's good. All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, if I go too fast, or if you guys just get confused on something, want me to do anything again, just let me know, and we can totally do that, okay? We're also going to be recording this, so in a few days, you guys should see basically an updated document in your download items folder of your account, and you'll see that we have a recorded video link. So that'll take you to a secret YouTube link where you guys can review this all over again. So that'll be up in a few days, maybe Monday or so, depending on how quickly I'm able to get that up there. All right, Jonita can hear me. Hey, Jonita. All right, so we're going to get started. Let's do this. Today we are making some multi-textured milestone designs with baby bling and StripFlock. So basically what that means is usually we recommend that for babies and toddlers, if you can't trust them to not eat something, then we don't put rhinestones on their apparel. But that doesn't mean it has to be boring. We can still make basically rhinestone designs and cut them out with vinyl. So that's kind of what we're going to play with here. Just different textures and stuff. We did some cute little baby animal designs in order to see what you can really do on those smaller outfits. Plus, babies are cute, so why not make them cute designs, right? All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our little moose, our moose design. I forgot the name of that animal for a second. Oh, man. So what I did was I just grabbed some vectors online, and we're going to take these and we are going to just basically completely change them. And make them into our own design. So the first thing I'm going to steal is this little moose antler here. So I'm just going to do Control-C and put it on a new page and Control-V. All right, so this is a vector. As you guys can see, it doesn't have all the cut lines. So what we need to do is trace it. Well, if it's something this simple, all I'm going to do is take my B-spline tool and I'm going to trace it. So my B-spline tool is going to be right here. I almost clicked on the wrong one. B-spline, right? And I'm going to zoom in, and if this is a darker image, what you can do is put the image in wireframe. That way you only see the outline of it. If it's a lighter image, you can usually see your line as you trace. So we'll just kind of click around this object. And all I'm doing is just tracing along the outside. Every time I click, it's creating a node. Oh, you can't see the workspace, huh? What do you see? Do you see your questions? How about now? Can you see it? It might have gotten paused. All right, so I'm going to start over. How about that? All right, so let's start over. Again, here is my, thanks for letting me know, guys. That's why we've got that question fly out. So we have this, just a picture of some antlers. We're going to come right over to the left-hand side here and grab the B-spline tool. All right, from there, all we're going to do is click, and every time I click, I'm going to make a new node. And what that node signals is a change of direction for my line. So I'll click around it. Now this is a nice rounded shape. If we wanted to make like sharp corners or anything, does anybody know how to do that? Yeah, you're going to hit the V. All right, so as I'm drawing with my B-spline tool, it's going to be all rounded, right? Which sometimes is good. If you want to make a sharp corner, I'm going to hold down the V key, click, and now I have like zigzag lines. So that's all up to you. It's whatever shape you want to make. And you can do all rounded until you just get to that one point, and then you hold the V, and just that one node is going to be a sharp angle. All right, so now we can keep on going. We have our one antler. Well, a moose has two antlers. I was going to say the plural of moose, but I don't know what that is. It might be meese. Mooses. Well, whatever they are, they only have one antler, or they have two antlers. So all we're gonna do is grab this one. As I'm dragging away, so I'm clicking, dragging away, I'm gonna right click, and then it's gonna make a copy. So if you have a mouse, which if you don't have a mouse, I would recommend getting one ASAP. If you do have one, again, that's the left click. As you left click and drag away, right click to make a copy. So now I have two antlers, and I can just mirror it. So all I'm going to do is click on the object and use the mirror right here. Boom. Now I have two antlers. Now let's make the main shape. And since this is going to be for like those little baby milestone marker onesies or those stickers that people make for the onesies, I'm just going to make the shape of the moose's head the number. So let's go with the number 8 here. We're going to drag it on out, make it the right size, double click, and now we can go just change the font. The font that I use for this and for a lot of these designs is Bubblegum. I got it free from defont.com. And it kind of is like a little bit swirly. I feel like if a moose chose an 8, he would choose this one, right? Perfect, so now we have that. I'm going to go ahead and change it to brown. So is everybody tracking with me so far? All we've done is we've taken our B-spline tool, traced around some antlers, made a copy, mirrored it, and put in the number that we want there. So now this is a part you can either add or you can skip. I chose to add this part in here. We're going to make some little ears for this moose, just to make him look a little bit more like a moose. So all I'm going to do, it's pretty simple. We're just going to take our B-spline tool again and just draw some little ovals. One there, one there, and again, just like we did before, we're going to mirror it. Where's our mirror tool? Right there. Now, if you don't like exactly how this looks, you can always change the shape of the ear. You can rotate it a little bit. I'm going to click on it one more time, and then just rotate it slightly. Maybe. There we go. And we'll just bring it in like that, and then I can use my arrow keys to bring it in. Because we don't want to make giant ears. We just want to make them stick out just a little bit. Again, just to add a little bit more detail to this design. And now what I'm going to do is grab the ear, hold shift, grab my 8, grab my other ear. We're going to weld everything together. Now when you weld, it's going to make all of your objects one color. That's okay. All we got to do is change it back to the brown. Let's see which one we use, that light chocolate brown there. And if you still don't like how it looks, you can always take your shape tool and edit it slightly. So there we go. We have our moose. And what we're going to do is let's just weld these two ears together. So click on one ear, hold shift, click on the next, and we'll weld these two together. I like to weld all of my like objects together. So if I know that both of these are going to be the same color, we're going to use the same item or the same product to make both of them. Well, pretty easy. We can just weld them. Then we have one object. We don't have to worry about it. Now I'm going to go up into this arrow up here in the wizard, and we're going to choose StripFlock. I really like StripFlock. I think people kind of will get intimidated by it sometimes because it's a little bit different than the Easy Weed. And we're going, but it's nice and fuzzy. It makes like a nice, cool, it makes everything look different. It's really good for things like baseball laces, cute little animals, obviously, or just to give extra texture. And the kids will like it too. They'll feel it and everything. All right, so this doesn't look perfect. Let's do both of them first. If you kind of look at it, it looks kind of grainy and pixelated. Well, that's because this is really just an image that we've shaped to look like moose antlers. So it's an image of the StripFlock. Well, we can change how zoomed in or zoomed out, basically, we are on that image by using the interactive fill tool. That guy's right here, interactive fill. I'm going to click on it. And there's not really an exact science to this, at least in my book. Basically, all you're going to do is click on the image you want to change and drag. If you drag really far out, it's going to zoom in a lot. If you don't drag so far, it's going to be kind of zoomed out. So I like to kind of find a happy medium where you can see some of the texture, but it doesn't look so pixelated. So we'll do that again on the 8. So go to the interactive fill tool, Click on the 8 and just kind of zoom a little bit. And it's nice because it even will give you a little bit of shading and stuff on it, which will look kind of cool as well. Now you're not going to be able to cut, well, I wouldn't recommend cutting a design while it's in the StripFlock form. You can always change it back to a regular color. But I like seeing how it looks, one, while I design, and two, for a mock-up or anything, or for your website listing, you want to have it look kind of cool. So there's our moose so far. And now what we're going to do is add the word months to the bottom, or years, whatever it is you're making this for. We'll do months for today. And because it's a cute little baby design, we're going to type it out of a cute little baby block font. So again, I found one online. It's just called Baby Blocks. And this is where it's going to get a little bit complicated. I think you guys can handle it, all right? So here's our Baby Blocks font. All I'm going to do is type out one letter at a time. If we type out a letter and we have them all in the same text box, well, every time you move one letter, all the other letters are going to follow. So what I like to do is I like to, if I want to adjust them a lot, and I don't know if you guys saw the design that we're going to make, we kind of have them arced around it, but not in an actual arch. They're kind of just staggered. So if I just make the one letter and I stagger it, or the one letter and I copy it over and over again, I can stagger it and they're not going to, it's not going to be difficult to edit. So all I'm going to do is click on my M here and then Baby Blocks, right? So there we go. We have one letter. I'm going to click and drag and right click to make a copy. M-O-N-T, oops, H. Nice. All right, perfect. That should be how many I need. And then I can just go in here, double click, and change the letter. Did I not do it now? There's our S. All right, so now I can just kind of drag these around. If I can spell it right, let's see. There we go. The H. Now I know that this might look a little bit crazy at first. We can even shrink them down a little bit. And we just need to get it arranged in a way that is looking all right around this 8. N, T, we can bring this out some, this down. And we can even use our align tools in the wizard here to make sure that they're lined up. That way you have a nice even arc, and then we can click on the X and make that go away. And it's okay if they're overlapping a little bit. We're going to go ahead and change the color so it looks okay like that. All right, so now let's go ahead and change these colors up. I'm going to make it an easy weed. We'll do the mint, and I like this cream color here. Think of nice neutral colors. Cool. So here's our months. It's all set up and nice, right? Now what I'm going to do is, you see how all of these are overlapping? So this text has basically a cutout area here. And it doesn't look so good that you can see everything behind it. So what I'm going to do to start, to fix that, is I'm actually going to use our 2-color magic text. Now this isn't a TRW font, but what we can do is use our 2-color magic text. And what it'll do is it'll put the upper and lowercase of this letter on top of each other. So if you have any font that has a 2-color, whether it's from us or not, you can use the 2-color magic text, so long as you see an upper and a lower here. So all I'm going to do is highlight to drag across all of this, hit the 2-color magic text button, and boom, it changed all those colors. And the nice thing about it is it fills in those gaps, so it doesn't look like that overlap looks so bad anymore. Now all we got to do is decide on a color. I think I'm going to make all of these the same color. So let's click on this orange here, And I'm going to do find all same color here in the wizard. And let's change all of this to maybe a gray. And there we go. So that one's all set. If you want to as well, which is probably going to be a good idea for you, you can even go in here and simplify these letters to the moose. So what that means is we're going to cut out where that area is so you're not overlapping on your StripFlock. So I'll click on the cream, hold shift, and the moose, and we'll do a simplify. Now we'll do the gray on this one and a simplify. And I always do that if I have a decent amount of overlap with anything like StripFlock or glitter. If it's only overlapping like 0.02 inches or something really small, you know, you might be able to get away with it. Like this overlap here, you might be okay. We'll simplify it through just to be safe. But this way we know that our garment is going to hold this material well, right? We're not having something overlapping on a velvety material that's going to fall off after one wash. And again, we'll do a simplify. So now we know no overlap going on. Oh, I missed one right there. Perfect. Now this design is all completed. Does anyone have any questions on that one? So we have our 8 months design all done. Now you could change this out with any letter or any number, any font, really even any animal. This is just, you know, one simple design. I really like how the little 8 looked like the moose head in there. If nobody has any questions, what we're going to do is just go ahead and move on to the next design. Let's open it up in a new page here. So let's see, what do we want to do next? We'll do the crown one next and we'll end on the owl. All right, so this one's going to be, I think this one's a little bit easier. I'm not sure, you guys can let me know. So, boom, I just found a crown online. You can find them everywhere. Again, I did take this from the internet, but I'm not going to copy and sell this as is. What I'm going to do is it's going to help me make the basic shape, and then I'm going to edit it a ton, so it won't even really be recognizable once we're done with it, right? So we're going to grab it, trace bitmap, and I'm just going to do a quick trace. Usually we do an outline trace if it's a more complicated design. If it's not a super complicated design, we can just do a quick trace here and see how it goes. If this message pops up, don't get too worried, you didn't do anything wrong. Just hit reduce, and you should be able to wait a second, and boom. So now we have our nice clean little vector here, and then our bitmap. Again, I always like to show the difference in wireframe between a vector and a bitmap image. So a bitmap isn't going to have those clean cut lines, and a vector is. A vector's not going to have the grayed out image the bitmap is. All right, so I'm going to delete that one because we can't use that too much anymore. And we'll go back to our enhanced view. I'm going to right click and I'm going to ungroup all objects. When you trace something, usually it traces them and it brings them in all grouped together. So I ungrouped that. We'll separate the crown from this white background here. Now we're ready to get going. Let's see, this design is about 4 inches. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just to work with, and we can always shrink it down because it is a vector. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this crown, we're going to place a circle inside of it for either a monogram or, again, like a milestone marker, and then do some contours around it. When I put a magic pattern in a design, I always like to do a contour first, and what that does at the end of the day is it makes it look like you have nice clean lines on the outside. So I'm going to take this, and that's the first thing I'm going to do is just go to the place and fill tab. I think I worked out about 0.08 was a pretty good spacing for this design. We're going to do to the outside one island and hit island fill. All right, so there we go there. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to make a little circle first. So let's come on the inside. Actually, let's make a perfect circle, right? I'm going to click on the ellipse tool, hold the control button, and drag. If I hold control and drag, it's going to make a perfect circle for me. It won't let you make an imperfect one. I'm going to shrink it down just a tad. So we want to leave some room for the pattern too. Now if I want to make this align perfectly with the crown, what I can do is grab everything, go to the Edit tab, and align down the center. That's going to put everything right down the middle there. All right, I'm going to grab my circle again, back to the Place and Fill tab, and we'll do an island to the outside of the circle at around 0.08 as well. So there we go. Now we have one contour, two contour, and we'll be able to do a magic pattern inside the middle. So first thing I'm going to do is clear out this little center part of the crown so I can put my either monogram or whatever I want to put in there. So I'm going to grab this island. I'm going to hold Shift, grab the crown, and hit Simplify. So now I have two little circles in here. Right? These are two islands. So what I can do, an easy way to combine these two, I kind of gave the answer away, is to go ahead and just hit the combine button. And it'll take those two islands and it'll basically just make it one shape. So now look, I have a little donut as opposed to two individually moving circles. So again, I'm going to highlight both and I'm going to hit combine. So there we go. Now I can change that color. Let's see what color. I made it gray here at first. And I'm going to right click on this X in order to get rid of those blue lines. I'm not a huge fan of those blue lines. They kind of confuse me as far as what color the design is going to be, so I always get rid of them as soon as I can. All right, and then what I'm going to do here, as you can see, if I add color to this island, it actually goes within all of this. Well, rather than worrying about simplifying and doing all that jazz, I'm going to make my life a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is actually just grab my Smart Fill tool. I'm going to zoom in really close, and I use the scroll bar of my mouse. If I push it forward, I zoom in. If I pull it back towards myself, it's going to zoom out. So I'm going to click right here, and that's going to Smart Fill that whole design. Now I can take the green and I can delete it. And we'll highlight right there. So now I have both of these colors matching. Again, I'm going to click, drag across, highlight my whole object, right click, and boom. So that gets rid of those designs. Now, what I like to do, again, light colors, I always like to weld them. Click on one light color, this gray here, hold Shift, click the other, and we'll weld it. Perfect. And I always like to click and drag away to make sure all of the objects I just welded actually welded together, because if I click on one and drag it, all the rest should follow. Now I'm going to click on this pink crown, and I'm going to add a magic pattern. So those magic patterns are in here. We can go to the Edit tab and see these all. So you can see them and you can click across them if you'd like, or you can click on the docker here, and it's going to give you a little flyout docker, and you can scroll through them just like that. So we have lots of magic patterns to choose from. As you can see, they do come in our magic pattern packs. So you can either purchase them, or you can kind of jerry-rig one of your own. I did a webinar kind of on that recently about making your own patterns and incorporating them into designs. But for now, I'm going to be lazy and just use one of ours. I like the chevron in here. Let's see if I can find it. Perfect. So we have a lot of different kinds of chevrons. I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to click on the pink part of my crown, click on the chevron. All right, so as you can see, it added the chevron. Cool. Well, say I'm not happy with how that filled in. Say I want smaller chevrons or bigger chevrons to be within this design. What I can do is hit Control-Z. I can grab my crown, and because it's a vector, what I can do is I can stretch it out and add the chevron. And now you can see that the chevrons are much smaller. Right? I actually clicked on both. Let's click on just one here. The chevrons are much smaller, and it gives a different look. So if there's ever a magic pattern that you're using that you're not super happy with, well, maybe try stretching it out or shrinking it and see how that works. Okay? So I have my magic patterns. Let's look in wireframe. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever lined up some designs like this, they can kind of be a bummer because sometimes they'll shrink a little bit when you heat press it, right? So you have a little gap. But if you want to prevent that, what you can do is just come into here, go to the Place and Fill tab, Contour Spacing. You can add an island of 0.01. around it, and it's almost going to act like you did a magic trap. We're going to do an eyelid fill. It's barely really noticeable on the pink, right? So if I make it like a lighter pink, you'll see it's not really super noticeable, but what it'll do is it'll give you some wiggle room to mess up here on your lining up. So we can even delete the original and have that pink overlapping. Highlight everything, right click again. And we can even send this pink to the back. So we don't have to see the overlap, but we know it's there, right? So there's our crowd. So that part of it's all done. Now we just need to decide what we want to add in here. So a lot of people like monograms. Those are super easy to do. Say I smart fill this, and I want to use our monogram font. And oh, that's how I find all of our monograms. Monogram circle, perfect. I have a circle. I can type my initials here. Highlight all. Monogram circle. Hit the M button for monogram. And now I can use the magic place in the wizard to even place it right in there. Click the circle, hold shift, click my name, and I'm going to right click on the magic place. So that's going to fill automatically. So you have this design done. I know we're doing like smaller baby designs and milestone designs, but if this was something you wanted to add, you could use this for multiple different types of designs, right? So there's our little crown. Well, let's stay focused. That was on a rant. It's not even in my guide. I just wanted to show you guys. What I'm going to do is let's find this font. We're going to write "It's fun to be one," right? So we're going to have "It's fun to be" and an arc around the outside of the circle, and then we're going to put one in here on the inside. So we're going to click on our text tool. Click once. I don't like to draw text boxes. I just click the one time. And I'm going to write "It's fun to be," and then we'll make the one in a different font. So I'll leave that be for now. All right, double click on everything to select all. Click on the cherry font. All right, so this font, sometimes it gives you a little bit of trouble when you want to do an apostrophe or anything like that. What I've been doing is either doing a comma or a colon here. And that will kind of give you one, and I'll show you how to work with that in a second, how to edit that. So we have our "It's fun to be." What I'm going to do is fit text to path. So I'm going to click on the fit text to path tool and drag it in here, and let's see if it gives us any hassle. Sometimes if you're using your text to path tool, it kind of wants to be difficult with you, and it'll try to follow the path of the chevrons or something like that. If you don't like how it's working out for you, you can just let it go, hit Control Z, and we can just, let's actually do our smart fill in here. We'll draw a new path. We'll say, hey, cling to that path. So we'll click on our text again, fit text to path here, and let's see. So sometimes it behaves a little bit better if you find a new path for it rather than one that's super jumbled. So I can click on that. Actually, let's find this text in here. There it is. And let's change that color so we can see it a little bit better. And if we like how this is set up, now we can always change it by stretching it out here or even rotating it a little bit. Let's make it a little bit smaller actually. Bam. So there we go. Now once you're all done fitting your text to path, you're going to convert it to curve. So now it's not going to be text anymore. So if you're not happy with, if you made a typo or you want to be able to change the text, don't convert to curves. But if you're all done with your text editing, you can either right click, convert to curves, or you can find the convert to curves icon that's right here. It's grayed out right now because I've already converted to curves. So now I can go ahead and get rid of the path. And also, another bonus of it being a curve is I can take my shape tool to it, and I can delete this extra heart from that colon. So I don't know if you guys knew where I was going with that, but I was not going to leave an extra apostrophe in there. So there we go. And I can just use my arrow keys to move that up. And we can squeeze this in a little bit if we want. Perfect. All right. It's fun to be. Now, we're going to add our 1. So what I did for this one, I made it into a rhinestone font. That is one thing that's important to remember. If you want to do it actually in rhinestones, you need to make sure you're sizing it for SS10 stones. But if you want to use it for baby bling, it doesn't really matter what size you make it. So I'll show you an example here. I'm going to change this to the 213, a TRW 213 font. All right, so there's one, and here's the other. If I want to change one of them to rhinestones, I'll click on it, and I'll click on the SS10 button and allow it to resize to the rhinestone size. Well, if I'm cutting it in vinyl, it doesn't matter because I can cut my vinyl any size, right? So boom. Again, I recommend for a 1-year-old you do not use rhinestones once they get a little bit older to where you can trust them to not eat them and choke on them or just ingest something they shouldn't be. And then you can start doing the rhinestones for them. I just want to make that note. So for some of these live templates that I've created for this webinar, I've made them all rhinestone sized. But if you want to make them for baby bling or for foil, you don't really need to worry about that. You can stretch or shrink it as you'd like. You also need to worry a little bit less about your stone spacing, or stone in air quotes, because you're going to do the bling. All right, so boom, we have our 1 here, and I'm going to change it. Let's see. Let's go to holographic. So one thing I've been doing with the baby bling, right, is clicking on it, just welding it all together, going over to our holographic section, and just finding a cool holographic color to change it to. And again, you can do your interactive fill tool and make it look a little bit sparkly, just like that. Cool, so we can even do the same with this stuff. We can make it the same color. Oh, limit our vinyl use, right? So boom, have all the sparkles there, and then we can keep that just plain pink, or we could do something like some magic glitter, do some white glitter on the inside here, and put it maybe on like a pink background. So there we go for that one. That one's all completed. Again, you can add an extra background here if you want. You can change up these colors, but that one's all done. And we're going to keep on moving. So our very last design, before I show you guys a few cool things, and I know we promised you guys a coupon code too, so don't let me forget that. Yell at me if I try to log off without giving it to you. It's our owl design. Now this is probably the more complicated one that we're going to do today, but I think it looks pretty cool. So here again we have an owl, and we're not just going to do a quick trace on this one because we're going to edit it quite a bit. What I'm going to do is do the B-spline tool. So again, B-spline. I'm going to start at the tip of the ear and just click around it. Now for this one, I don't know if you guys saw the original design, but I'm actually going to skip the wings here because we're going to do some little rhinestone baby bling wings. And just kind of click around him. If you mess up, not a huge deal because you can always go back with your shape tool and edit. Alright, now I'm going to hold down the V to make that sharp angle. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the computer always chimes at me when I do it, but I do it anyway because I want to get those sharp angles. One more time with the V tool and one more time. Yeah. So it might look kind of crazy at first to have an owl without any wings or anything or any feet. But we're going to keep going. We'll add some eyes in here. I'm going to hold Control to draw my circle. And we're going to do it a little bit bigger than theirs because we're going to add some rhinestones inside. It's going to look pretty cool. Let's fill it in white so you guys can see it. And we can just go ahead and design really right on top of this guy. So there's one eye. And then we're going to add the little pupil in there. And again, make less work for ourselves. We're just going to copy and paste, right? So now, at this point, let's go in and trace the beak. And then we'll be able to delete the original image. You know, it's a little blurry and everything. So again, hold down the V and go around. Perfect. Now we're going to click on that and delete it. And let's fill in this owl with the color. Yeah, let's give this beak a color too. Alright, so that's our basic shape. Again, he looks kind of creepy with no arms or anything, so we'll go in and add some wings. I'm going to use our B-spline tool, and we're just going to freehand this one as well. Now, you can, if you want to, go in and trace, whatever original image of that owl you find. I prefer to edit them, make them my own. I also feel a little bit better about kind of doing it myself, and we can add some rhinestones to it. So all I'm going to do is kind of like a little teardrop shape. Give it a little bit of contour on the inside there. And we can always move it in and down. And we'll change the color. And as always, copy and paste and mirror. To get that other wing in there. So I'm going to use my edit tools. We'll use these align guys right here. And make sure that these line up. It's pretty close, it's just a little bit off. I'm going to bring it down some. I'm also going to bring this one in a little bit. I like to see a little bit of a contour between the main body and the wing that goes around, but not too much either. Cool. Now I can close that out. What I'm going to do, since we're adding rhinestones, is I'm going to click on one wing, hold Shift and the body, and simplify. Same on this one. That's going to kind of delete that area from the owl's main body. And that was Control Z to put those back. Now, let's see how big he is. This is when we kind of want to get a general idea of how big we want our design to be when we start to add those stones. I know we can stretch or shrink them if we're doing baby bling, but we do kind of want them to be generally rhinestone size. So if we start really small and then we stretch it really big, they might be really big circles, which could be good or could be bad. For this design, I kind of want to make them similar. Let's make it about 5.5 inches there. And now we're going to click on the wing, and we're going to fill it with some rhinestones. Yeah, let's do a good gray. Place and fill tab. We're going to go to the inside. I'm going to put 0 for islands. We're doing an island fill, but if you put 0 and you fill to the inside, it's going to fill as many rows of stones as you need to give you a good fill on that image, so whatever it is. And we're just going to do the one wing for now and copy and paste. Again, that's going to cut our work in half. Don't make any more work for yourself. All right, our contour spacing. I'm going to do 0 on that, meaning it's going to start right on this line. It's not going to start inside the line at all. Space, we'll do 0.015. The space is going to be the space between your stones. Actually, we'll leave that at 0.02. Yeah, that'll be fine. And let's go ahead and add stones and do an island fill. And change the color on there. Now here are our stones. Not too bad of a fill there. We can clear the paths. That'll get rid of that background. And now I'm going to move it all over just slightly. Now we do have a little bit of overlap here. Normally with stones, that's a no-no. With something like baby bling, I'm going to allow it because it's vinyl on vinyl, will be okay. All right, so we need to come in and edit some stones. Now we do have a lot of really great stone editing tools in the wizard, but it's so few stones in here that for me, it's faster to just go in and move them by hand. And all I'm doing is clicking and just kind of dragging these stones. You can delete any that seem like they're a little bit extra. We can kind of move them in. Really should only take you about a minute or so for something this small. Now towards the point is kind of where you normally have your most of your trouble because you're getting less room for rhinestones, so you can fit fewer in here. Do it just like that. Kind of increase that. There we go. So again, about a minute or so of stone editing you might have, but that's not too bad. Now I'm going to delete that side. Grab all these stones, mirror them, copy them over, and we're good. And what I to do again, not rhinestones, they're baby bling, so I can find all same size and color. And we don't want to do that, we want to weld them. So now they're all one object. There's our wings. Now we can add some stones to the inside of these eyes here. We might want to move this in slightly, just so we have room for the stone. So I'm going to click on one eye. We're going to do an island to the inside, just the one though. We don't want to fill it. Add stones, contour spacing. On this one, we do want contour spacing because we do want space between the outer line of this eyeball and the inside. So let's do a contour spacing of 0.09. See how that works out for us. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we have just a little bit of space in there. And we'll clear the path, and we're good. And because we know this is the exact same size, I won't even copy and paste. I'll just do another island fill in there, clear paths. And what we can do, once again, grab all those stones, all same size and color. Now because we welded all of these together, the software isn't reading them as rhinestones. So when I click find all same size and color for in here, it's not going to see those. It's just going to see these. So we can weld this together, and I'm going to weld it to our wings as well. And let's make these that cool holographic green color. So we're going to go to holographic, to the green, and we can use our interactive fill tool here. Oops, or our smart fill tool. So let's see our interactive fill, and let's edit how that looks in there. So that looks kind of cool. There's our eyes. Now let's change the main body of him to some StripFlock so we can see what we're working with. Perfect. And now we're going to add that little arc around here for the belly. So what I do for this is just grab a circle. Right, we can make that, and I can just move it up here. Let's change the color so we can see how that shape is going to look. I really just shape it. Just like this. Maybe we'll make it a little bit wider. Cool. So that's selected. I'm going to hold Shift in the body of the owl, and let's do an intersect. What the intersect does is everywhere that the circle and the main body of the owl overlap, it's basically going to create a new object. If you've ever seen a Venn diagram, it's basically creating the center of that Venn diagram on the inside there. So if I click, boom, change that color, basically just created a new shape right on top of everything that overlapped. So I'm going to make this in a blue fuzzy StripFlock, and again, use our interactive fill tool here. And more StripFlock. And our interactive fill tool one more time. And there we go. So now, the main part of our owl is done. I'm going to get rid of all those extra lines there. And we'll add, the amount of months, and then the word months down here. So I'm going to use that bubble font again like we were using before. Again, I found it free on defont.com. We'll use the bubble gum. Type out our 3. And just put that right in the middle there. Now there's a few different ways we could go. Kathleen, that's a good question. You don't want to overlap those. So I was just kind of about to mention that. With our 3, what we're going to do is we're going to simplify it through the blue and just let you see that the gray is still behind there. So what I was thinking was maybe we'll do this gray here and leave it as is, and then we'll simplify the blue to the gray. Because again, you do not want your StripFlock and your other layer of StripFlock to overlap. Any vinyl that's textured, so any sort of texture at all, so glitter, StripFlock, the Chemica with the, all right, Kathleen approves, I like it. Cool. So anything that basically is not easy weed, do not put anything on top of it. Now what you can do is you can put StripFlock on top of EasyWeed, and you can put glitter on top of EasyWeed and anything else on top of EasyWeed, but nothing is going to go on top of any of these. So that is a good question and a really good point that we see a lot. People find that their vinyl falls off, and it's because they're layering it. It's basically just an issue of the water getting underneath the vinyl in the wash. So if it's textured, there's more room for that water to run through and basically melt down that adhesive. So there's our 3. And let's add our months. Well, let's see, I'm on Sean's computer, so let's see if he has any cool fonts for us. Aha, I downloaded this for him. This is one of my favorite fonts right now. This little script font, Shoreline Script. I think I downloaded it for another webinar for him. So I typed out our months, changed that. Now what you could do is put that right on top and simplify through. Or you can do a little arc. So we can draw a circle here. Click on our text. Hit text to path. And you can see it comes in upside down. All we need to do is use our mirror tools and fix that a little bit. So now we can bring it back out. And it's going to do that every time you fit the text to a path. If you put it on the inside, it's going to be upside down. Now we can convert to curves and delete that original curve. So there we go. And again, we will need to simplify that through. So does StripFlock hold well to the garment when dried in a dryer? Kathleen, that's a good question. We've never really had an issue with it. We use it for even some baseball teams and stuff. We put it on some t-shirts for them. And we really haven't gotten any back. We haven't gotten any complaints about it. I know Matt has a lot of StripFlock shirts too. We use them for trade show, little decals, and it seems to be holding up pretty well. It's actually getting a lot more popular than it used to be when I first started working here. But yeah, I'm a big fan. So again, we have our months here. We're going to hold Shift, click on the blue, and simplify. Now we can see that it's not overlapping. So there we go for that. I don't know if I like that color of holographic. I thought I did, but I think I'm going to change my mind. Maybe we can go with something a little bit more like this spectrum one. Let's see how that looks when we do the interactive fill tool. It's crazy how different these can look at different levels of the interactive fill tool. So if you guys fill any of these holographics in and you don't like it at first, take a second and play with it, see how it looks. It might not be so bad once you change the colors. Let's see. Maybe even a crystal. Cool. So this one's all done. That's all of our designs, guys. Any final questions? I know Kathleen had a few. Jonita, how are you doing? Did I lose you? Cool. All right, so awesome. We do have one more thing. I did promise you guys a coupon code. I'm going to type that out. And I'm going to show you an example. So what they had me do was basically create designs that are kind of similar to these, but that are live templates. And I don't know if you guys have the Wizard 4.0, but it includes the Janita. If you need anything, consult that written guide. Give us a call. We'll help you out, of course. And guys, I do work in the call center as well. So if you have any questions, if you call, I'm usually in there if I'm not doing a webinar or screwing around with Lisa on a Facebook Live. You can talk to me. All right. So the coupon code for these guys, I have it written down somewhere, I promise. So TRU dash hope, that's me, 031717-40. All right, and what this is going to be is 40% off of this live template pack of monograms and baby milestone markers. So we do have an owl. They're all a little bit different. They're slightly different than this. But what you can do is open this file, and if you go to the wizard and go to the Docker and then live template editor, you can actually, where'd you go? I might have already had it open. Oh, here it is. we can hit find text, and it even has our coupon code. I'm not going to change that. So I can hit that 3 here, and I can do 11, and we can do years, or if you want, you can just make it the 1 month, right? And we'll change this 11 back to a 1. It's pretty cool. These live templates are awesome. We just basically took all of these designs and made them into a live template version. It's a little bit more complicated to make than we can really go over in a design. So having a live template is really convenient because you can have the same design over and over again every month, and you can see how that child grows or that baby grows throughout the months, right? So this one, and these are all set up to do rhinestones as well as baby bling. So whichever you guys would prefer to do, again, you could always make this into a monogram pack if you wanted. So here's a coupon code. It's going to be just for that design pack. So I can even pull that up for you. Let's see if this will let me do it. That's right here. So here's our designs. And again, they're all live templates. So they're a little bit different than what we made today. This one's got like more of a little monogram looking template. And this one I added rhinestones to the outside. So you guys know how to make it, but if you want the live template version, you guys can get that at a discount, unlike anybody else. Other than that, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this training. We do have a few other webinars going on this week if you guys want to check them out. On the 21st, Lisa's doing a webinar for you silhouette people on some Easter designs. And then Sean is doing a monogram and magic pattern webinar on the 22nd. So that's going to be Wednesday for Sean's. Lisa's is going to be on Tuesday. And then she has a Facebook Live on Thursday, which I usually pop in and bug her during those. Again, if you guys need anything else, you know where to call us. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys learned something. See ya. Bye, Linda.